She's communicating.
Are we on the internet?
No, I'm not ready.
None of us are. Tonight, with 3 party members missing in action, the gang makes a new friend, a formidable enemy, and experiences a tragedy no one was prepared for, especially not Danny. We'll break it all down with my guests, Matthew Mercer, Taliesin Jaffe, and special guest, Ashley Birch. All that and more tonight on Talks Machina. Got to start drinking now. We're back. Thank you for joining us. Welcome, esteemed panel of guests.
Hello.
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 Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
It's been a week.
Boy.
It
been a
hurts
week,
as
a
much
weekend.
as the first day.
It does, right? I know. The second I saw Taliesin today, I was like, ugh, I'm going to be crying a lot.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
good cardio for the soul.
It
It's
is.
just-
That's a good way to put
Just
it.
tired.
That's a great way to put it. Well, we've got a couple of quick announcements we're going to burn through so we can get to the content, as they say. We are headed to San Diego Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Our San Diego Comic-Con panel is this coming Saturday, July 21st at 6:30 p.m. in room 6BCF. If you guys were there last year, it's the same room we were in last year.
Yeah.
You guys excited?
Yeah. Thought about it.
Response to anything.
Haven't thought about it?
Yeah.
You've been a little preoccupied.
Been a little preoccupied.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, good news, we will air that panel next Tuesday in the Talks Machina time slot, which will be great. Check out the details at critroll.com. What should we do next Tuesday since we're not going to be here? I vote drink.
I'm always a fan of drinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Taliesin and I will be drinking.
We have movies to
napping.
watch.
Yeah,
We
you
have
guys are-
movies to
movies to
watch.
watch.
Yes. We're going to watch the esteemed, fantastically made film Wrist Cutters.
It's going to come up today anyway.
It's
so
going to
there's
come
no
up today
fighting it.
anyway.
Yeah.
For those of you with an Alpha subscription, Matthew Mercer will be on Asinine Wisdom tonight at 9 p.m.
Correct.
After Dark.
Yes, studio hopping.
Yes.
It's one of those nights. Should be interesting.
Well, luckily we have the Critical Role helicopter that can take you to the new.
It's called a lift.
It's called a lift. Yeah. Well, I think that's it. Anybody need to plug or to? I need to plug a few things.
I guess the only thing I want to plug is I'm also doing another panel at Comic-Con, which is I'm doing the Wednesday Club panel.
Yes.
So if you're still there on Sunday, I will be the last member of Critical Role still at Comic-Con
Yeah.
on Sunday. Like,
We are
watch our shows! Oh!
We are not staying behind to
I know.
support you.
I'm well aware.
Off that too, on the Saturday before our Critical Role panel, I'll be on the Cartoon Voices panel. I believe it's 1 p.m.
Ooh.
As well with Julie Nathanson, JP Carliak, a bunch of Kari Walgren, a bunch of really amazing, talented people. I don't know how I snuck on there, but
I do.
it'll be fun, and it'll be a way to kind of get your energy going for the eventual Critical Role panels.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Check out everybody's Twitter for more details. I'm sure you guys have that
Yes.
information
Somewhere in
available.
there.
Wednesday Club tomorrow night?
Yeah.
What are you
yeah.
guys talking about?
Eisners. We're gonna cover the Eisners and as many of the books that we can talk about what's up for the awards this year.
Wow, fantastic. Ooh, I can't wait. Well, without further ado,
I just got nervous. That's why I have the bear.
that's okay. Emotional support, Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I take
I
on the plane with me.
Ruining my mic. Okay.
You're good. Yeah.
Let us discuss the fated episode 26 of Critical Role Campaign 2, Found and Lost. Welcome back. We have some crit roll stats for this episode.
Oh, no.
This will be a nice icebreaker for us to get into before we get into the heavy shit. Episode 26 has the most natural 20s in campaign 2.
Really?
In a campaign 2 episode with a total of 14.
Holy
Really?
Many thanks to you, obviously,
Yeah,
Ashley.
you were like, dropping them off the whole time.
That guy never does anything for me, man. I don't know why I
Really?
suddenly like you so much.
Yeah, because you used one of Talison's dice, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
and all of the different one-shots I've been on, I don't have my own dice bag, so it's just
But
the wrist flick, I
The
guess.
barroom blitz one, you rolled like 5 natural 20s in that one too.
Just don't get your own dice.
I know, I
Nope.
just need to borrow other people's.
Yeah.
Yes.
Screw with their mojo and then give them back.
Yes.
Yeah.
That works
That's
out
a
well.
fantastic idea.
It's like a luck siphon, just mine.
Maybe you can just sit next to me when I play D&D, and that will be enough to transfer,
I don't know, I wasn't
But then
helping
you'd have-
Sam out any.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Sam was not rolling well.
Yeah, that tuxedo acted like a bulletproof vest for his roles. So total of 14 in this one episode, tying with Campaign 1, episode 55, 61, and 100 for most nat 20s. Keg has the most natural 20s of any guest player in a single episode, which was 4.
Damn.
4?
Yeah.
Dang. And then 2 or twice in a row.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Not to diminish that at all, but it was a 17-hour episode, so it did take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Molly got the Mighty Nine's 100th kill
Oh.
and leads the party. Leads the party or led the party with 21 kills in all.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Hot murder streak before dying. That's the way to go.
You know,
Yeah.
hot murder streak.
I love
the
it.
hottest.
We have seen 7 of Molly's cards: Silver Dragon, Anvil, Serpent, Eye, Moon, Shadow, the Chariot, and Meatloaf Paradise by the Dashboard. I just made that last one up.
Serpent should be. I think serpent should be dragon, just to check. But I think that sounds right.
You hear that, crit roll stats?
I'll have to double. Yeah, it should be. I eventually will finish that deck, regardless of anything that happens.
You please do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should.
Please do. All right, before we get into the fan questions, I want to talk to you guys. Ashley, obviously, welcome back to Critical Role and
Thank
Talks
you.
Machina. You were first time as a guest on a campaign episode.
Yes. I've only done one-shots before this.
What's the biggest difference?
Oh, in the one-shots, people didn't die quite as much.
Yes.
There was a bit less dying.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool to feel like I'm part of a larger narrative that will have implications, obviously, past. I'm sorry. It's
saying it. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
We love Ashley. It's so much fun. We love Ashley. I want to say, and Matt, jump in on this too, if you want. I want to commend you for, I know that there's a tiny, extremely insignificant part of the community that likes to lash out sometimes at people. Marisha had a great tweet saying, like, lash out at us all we want because we don't care. Do not lash out at the guests. And I just want to say, I thought that what you did was one of the most perfect examples of consistent role-playing choices that I have seen. Like, beyond just giving yourself disadvantage because you were frightened, I mean, you acted how that character would have, instead of going, I'm going to deny that because I want to help out more or keep these people that have to be on the show every week alive or whatever else. You're probably grateful that she did that, even though it turned out the way
Oh, I'm
way it
absolutely
did.
grateful, and like, just, I mean, like, I'll say, just from a math standpoint, it wouldn't have done any good.
Exactly.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah,
There were
rolls
other
bad.
factors
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were a bit
bad rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
bad rolls.
I just
Thank you
wanted
for
to
saying that.
encourage you, because I know it's probably, you've probably had so many emotions since Thursday.
And to be fair, everyone has been very nice directly to me.
Good.
I've mostly heard whispers of people hating
Yeah.
me, which is totally.
That's how it works
you
on
know.
the internet.
That's how it
They go
works.
behind closed doors and
Yeah.
under covers that you weren't looking at.
Right.
They're like, oh, she's great. But I would have done
I felt that
Yeah.
tension as well because and we didn't talk. I mean, I didn't know anything really about their stats or how powerful they would be, but I had nervousness just knowing the history of this character, and
Yeah.
there was a point where I thought, oh man, I really don't want to leave them in the lurch, but it just wouldn't feel true to the character. So
Yeah.
that's the first time I've ever done anything like that in a D&D campaign as well.
It was
so.
a great choice, and it was really a lesson for me in role playing. It was like, whoa, that's how you really commit to it.
Well, and this is an interesting point too. It's choices like that. I've always said before, I'm a big fan of bold choices in your Dungeons and Dragons role-playing games, not just action-wise, but role-playing wise, going with what makes sense, regardless of if it's most, strategically optimal. and sometimes knowing that it's a detriment to your character, because it's those moments, especially moments where you falter as a hero, that I think define the next step of your arc. It's being able to look at oneself and be like, I failed. That is a really interesting story to follow. And so even just with that brief bit of time we saw Keg, we got to see this very strong exterior, this very kind of cocksure, fuck you attitude. And then when faced with a, show your mettle circumstance against a specific person that could shake that exterior, it was very wild and very unique to watch that completely crumble. And I think it's gonna have some really interesting, I'm excited to see what happens with Keg in the next episode or two.
Me too. Yeah.
And we have another guest that's going to come on and hopefully kill someone else too this week, I believe. Matt, did you want to? Yeah. I'm sorry, Danny. I'm
Only
sorry.
I get to kill main characters.
That was the
That's
deal that we
me.
made.
It's special for me.
It's on the paperwork you signed before you came on. Choose which character of the Mighty Nine you don't want to see on the show anymore.
It's not true. I love
No, it's not
so
true.
much.
She did take my character sheet later and slowly cut it with a knife.
Oh my God, Ashley! Goodness gracious!
I had to do it.
Wow. Way to kick a guy while he's blue.
I have the worst sense of humor for this particular environment. I really shouldn't
You
be
do
allowed.
whatever you need to do,
so
Taliesin.
sorry.
Hey,
This is your show.
we laugh so that we don't cry into our Frosted Flakes. That's
Yes.
what's it been like for you since Thursday night? What's been going on?
Well, I hadn't slept the night before already, and then I didn't sleep that night either.
Yeah.
Oh.
You were not expecting when you showed up Thursday night that would be the end of Molly's.
No, I really was not. And then I went home and I went fetal and had some feelings for a while, and then eventually the sun rose and I was like, oh shit, I have not thought about another character. I was supposed to do this months ago, just have something waiting in the wings, and no, I did not do any of that.
You also had the finale of Gather Your Party the
that
next
we had
night.
to put together the 24 hours later, and I did that, and
Man.
and other projects that I can't talk about that were
Yeah.
like, well, this is, oh God, this
gotta
is the
do
worst
it.
week. Ah.
Yeah.
But, so I've spent the weekend rolling a new character.
Yes. That's exciting.
Yes.
I feel like I owe you a cake or a dinner or a drink.
I will
or
happily take that.
You should
I will
buy him a
happily
keg of
take
something.
I
A
should.
drink in a cake in a, I don't know. What
Yeah.
it would be like.
You just bring cake.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not a bad
Yeah,
thing.
it's true.
We can, yeah, I'm a big fan of stress eating.
We
so that's
don't
okay.
really turn down
I like
cake
my
very
feels.
often.
Well, yeah, no, it was the weekend was spent trying to figure out what, after 6 months making Molly Mock when we had our break and really thinking about it. It's from that point, I'm like, you have 3 days, get your shit together. It was like, oh no.
Oh my God, yeah.
But it came out okay. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm all right. I'm happy.
Matt, the other thing I wanted to ask you about is I noticed, I watched the episode twice because I was watching it live, and then Ashley got home from work about halfway through the show and fell asleep immediately, which is what she does so she doesn't have to talk to me. Yeah. And
That's what we all do.
I woke her up because I was typing on my computer, and then I heard Taliesin say, my blood maledict's gonna kill me. And I'm like, wait, how many points does he have? That whole thing. I'm shaking Ashley to wake her up, and she's like, what's happening? I'm like, this is bad. You need to see this. And then we rewound it and watched it again. And I noticed there's times where you definitively frame things in a way that is not trying to wink at or hint to the characters necessarily in a direct way that something bad's about to happen, or are you sure you want to do this, or however else. But I noticed you were hesitating a lot more than usual as things went on, even when you were going to bring out the map that I now want to burn ceremoniously and send the remains somewhere. But you were like, I'm going to bring out this map. This is for you guys to think long and hard about what you want to do. What the heck was going through your mind? Did you think an encounter this deadly would happen this early in the campaign?
I mean, this particular group, the Iron Shepherds, is designed to be a very, when they're all together in a space where they can work in conjunction with each other, they're a very dangerous group. And I instilled that a bit with the history that Ashley's character had. And it was, as a dungeon master, you have to prepare for many possibilities. And so I'd thought about the possibility of them just following them. And if they had kept the cart, they would never have caught up to them, and it would have been just like eventually finding their way to the northern city of Shady Creek Run, and then maybe trying to find information about them there, finding them in a public space, you know. If they did catch up, if they were just going to pursue them at a distance and kind of learn from them, you know, kind of intel gathering, or if they were going to, for a brief time, there was discussion about sneaking in the night and trying to get people out. I had that as a possible encounter set up in case that happened. And I had, in case they decided to attack them, you know, some things that could go together. And so when I described the hills, the 2 hills on the sides, I had terrain pieces I put together real fast back there. And but as they progressively began to discuss this, it's one of those things where you have to decide, try and give them signs of how dangerous this might be. Seeing that they were more than 5 was my first kind of real clue. Actually knowing how dangerous they are was another clue. Really trying to kind of, without telling them directly, are you sure you want to do this? This could possibly be very bad. You know, because I don't want to guide them too hard on a path per se. And this honestly kind of acts as a lesson in the future to gauge what you're fighting. If you think there's any chance that it's not going to work out, you know, ask, you know, how tough do they look? How, you know, can I really read what we're about to go up against? And as I was nervous, I was fucking nervous, and you could see as it went on, because I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. And my intent with the battle was to show some surprises based on their intel through Keg that showed that they really didn't know what they were up against.
Yeah.
And as a mortal man does, was hoping to rely on that surprise to maybe be enough of a indicator that this might not be a fight you should continue. But you never know how your players are going to react, and I'm an imperfect person. And
I could see you affected, though.
Yeah, the point, I think the point got across. I just, you know, it happened to have a high cost.
You were, I mean, normally you have these very eloquent and thought through, and even the improvised ones, descriptions of what was happening. And as stuff got so heavy, I noticed you were just like going from thing to thing and not even really taking a lot of time to describe it. I could see it, I visibly see it affecting you.
Well, it was also getting late in the evening.
Man, it was, yeah, it was pretty late.
And there's a certain moment of like, all right, we all want to get to bed at a certain hour, so I won't give a flowery description to thug number 2 shooting a bolt and missing.
Right, exactly.
Right.
You know, so I don't feel like I have to really embellish that so much.
The map came out after 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock, yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Well, it was, well, I was under the impression that, like, well, this battle's going to go really quickly one way or the other. Either they're going to spook the group and they're going to keep running, which was the other possibility. But when they dropped the tree to break the first cart, it kind of locked them in place and they wouldn't have sped forward. And so it kind of put it in this position where, like, all right, the battle's going down and we'll see how it goes.
I feel like I should have known in retrospect too when we kept going, because I was like, it's after, because I saw the time and I was like, it's after 11. I should have known. Like, he wouldn't be pushing us this far if you thought it was going to be a long battle.
But you know, that it's part of how it works out. And any dungeon master who's ever run a game has had a point in the game where they've made an encounter that either they unintentionally made harder than they wanted to, or they didn't expect the party to go charging in, you know, guns blazing, and had to find a way to get that point across.
Yeah.
And due to the nature of
Welcome to level 5. If there's anything that happens at level 5, it's the like, wow, we're getting pretty good at this. No, we're not. We're not getting good at this at all. This is
spirals.
Is it possible, and I'm not, you guys know I'm not a big conspiracy theorist. We definitely didn't land on the moon, but other than that, I am not a big conspiracy theorist. But is it possible that the sexual energy coming from Sam's Men's Warehouse tuxedo perhaps tilted the scales? I at home found myself.
It distracts me continuously.
Yes.
Which I think maybe might have been detrimental to the overall
I
performance.
think that's a fair estimation.
Yeah.
I blame Sam personally.
Okay, that's
But
fine.
yeah, it was to bring it back around to your question. Yes, it was progressively more and more nerve-wracking because I care for these characters and I care for these people, but I also had an intent with this, you know, encounter where they didn't do anything with it like they were, which was to show really what they're up against, and the way the dice rolled was not in their favor.
No.
You know, like with
No, it was not.
with the right. with the right plotting and the right roles and the right setup, there could have been like a confrontation to a parlay. There could have there were a lot of different ways it could have gone, as is the nature of the game, and it was just
Did not go well.
they did not go well.
Yeah.
And
Not about as bad as it could have. Well, not as bad as it could have.
as bad as it could have.
not as bad as it
If
could
Keg
have.
hadn't stepped up and like used that relationship with the Iron Shepherds and specifically with Lorenzo to try and halt the battle, they could have got worse. They could have wound up with other members being robbed or being bound and dragged along. Like it.
Yeah.
It's good to know that was helpful.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say it was good to know that because when I was doing it, I was like, this is so fucking futile. Like this is not gonna have any impact.
But Lorenzo's a specific character. There's a vanity to him, and there is an element of he enjoys the power and wielding it over other people that he knows fear him, and so you you played into that, and that was kind of really in that moment his flaw, and and that saved a lot further hardship, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably.
So yeah, it was fun.
Just trying to make you feel better.
I know.
I'm just kidding.
It was kind of working until just then.
Yeah, weird.
Strangely.
We're gonna get to a few of our fan questions, and the first one obviously comes from our beloved Arsqueef,
Queen.
positioned here behind the Dice Jail walls. Matt and Ashley, how did you guys determine the information Keg had on the Iron Shepherds? How did you determine what she was going to know? And
I determined that. I mean,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
he gave me selective information, as I
Yes.
learned on the day, because I did not know that Lorenzo could do that.
no, and because it was the idea of your interaction with them, you weren't super tight with the group necessarily, and there are certain secrets that some characters keep close to their chest for when they need that trump card, and certain elements of that may play out in the next episode or not, of Keg's knowledge and things, but yeah, that there were different facets that Keg just either hadn't seen before or didn't understand.
She's not very smart.
She's not the brightest
firefight
dwarf in the
jar.
shed.
Yeah. Dwarf in the shed?
Yeah.
In your dwarf shed, as you keep.
Where you keep your dwarves.
Well, I thought I was the only one who had one, apparently.
But yeah, so it was a combination of what information she could glean from the experiences she's had with them versus what they themselves may have been able to get across. Mistaking the bard for a sorcerer because just a magic, assume they're a sorcerer of some kind, and then Lorenzo just having things close to his chest that he only uses selectively when he really needs to, either to make a point or to defend himself.
Yeah.
Oiled leather wrapped chest. Yeah. Yeah.
Very slick, oily.
Yeah, I forgot he was oily at the end.
It was oily at the end.
Yeah.
What's that, Danny?
What he would have wanted.
That's what he would have wanted.
Molly would've wanted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ashley,
Yes.
Aaron Michaela asks, how did Keg feel after being charmed by Caleb? What made her follow them into a very uphill battle after that?
I think Keg knew, Keg didn't know how bad that would be, but she'd worked with the Iron Shepherds for long enough to know that these were some very dangerous people. And I think, Matt and I talked about that there was probably a lot of this plan of hers that was done while she was in a drunken stupor, thinking that she was powerful enough to handle this.
Yeah.
But I think that Keg kind of knew the closer that she got, like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do this on my own. And so, it's sort of like the twist of fate's had it that these people that had the same goal sort of showed up. So I think, Keg is sort of she has a facade of being sort of cocksure and proud, but I think, she's also a coward.
Yeah.
And she knew that, like, me versus the entire Iron Shepherds is gonna end with me dead. So it didn't really, I think she put up a little bit of a front, but it didn't take that much convincing.
Yeah.
Really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
To join.
Wow.
Because even with Molly messing with her head, she's like, necessary evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taliesin, speaking of the blood maledict,
Yeah.
this question's
Bear?
from
I'll take Bear.
Taliesin. Calm thyself with a bear while you answer this question. This is from Alec Tier, whatever. It's basically a rite of passage now if I fuck up your name on this show. Was that last blood maledict a desperation play, knowing by that point that if Lorenzo hit you at all, it would be fatal?
Yes, that was my plan. For what it was worth, was to since I was kind of locked in, I was going to try and just give him disadvantage on his. I assumed he would have 2 strikes against me. Get disadvantage on those 2 strikes, hopefully dodge them, and then once he was engaged with bow, get the fuck away.
Yeah.
Which was like, I don't really know. And like, it was a slightly better than, it was a 50-50 chance. It was like,
Yeah.
I've been rolling like shit. What's the chances? You know, and then nope, that was the roll that was the D6 that killed it. And I was like, that's shit.
If only you had the golden snitch still.
Well, I
D6 actually. So
Oh yeah, you're right. It's a D6. Did you roll the golden snitch for the bad guys?
for this one, yes.
Yeah, I take that. I take personal
After
offense
this
at that.
campaign, let's not give him the most powerful dice on the West Coast.
He's going to mysteriously lose it any day now.
Okay, good.
It's going to happen.
Matt, Cass0707 asks, did Lorenzo feel in danger at any point during that fight?
I think. I don't know if I want to tell you.
No, you don't have to. You absolutely don't have to. You can tell me
Fair.
after.
I'd say from what you saw, I mean, he took some hits and burned a bit, but he put up a front of confidence that either you believe or not is up to you, but he did not seem to feel threatened
Wow.
in his presence.
He didn't react to being burned alive.
No?
It's a little disconcerting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did react to getting hot, sexy oil poured all over him.
Well,
Seemed
yeah.
to like it.
You could say
I'm kind of waiting for it.
you could say he felt very comfortable, just covered in oil.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, something that villain shares with Taliesin.
That is fair. I'm covered in oil right now.
Let's give away some free shit, shall we?
Let's do it.
Our first giveaway tonight is honoring your epic gift making skills. It's time for GIF of the Week.
Oh no.
Our winner for episode 26 of Campaign 2 was sent in by Claudia Z on Reddit at Random Answers for Random Questions. Let's take a look. Like that
Amazing.
helicopter skycam news report of the gang war, slaughter in progress, Glory Run Road.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Druids
amazing.
estimate
The
the
ticker at the
coldest
bottom.
winter in the past.
wow.
Oh my God.
That's pretty
Incredible.
magical.
That's good. Congrats to you, Claudia Z. You have won this brand new softest shirt alive, not the best detective agency.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
This is nice. It's so
Tiny flask.
soft. Oh man, Taliesin has cried into this shirt, increasing its value by millions and millions of pesos. All right. Remember, you can submit. We got there, Chief. Your gifts at submit at toxmachina.com. Moving on, Taliesin. Debana Knight wants to know, what was going through your mind when Matt asked for your final words? Was it hard to come up with Molly's response, or was it easy?
Oh no, Molly's response was easy. Molly's not complicated in that direction, and his feelings on death and violence are pretty easy. I was kind of in a fugue state for most of that. I was like, well, I'm either gonna wake up or I'm not. This is really fascinating. It didn't fully hit me till hours later. So
I feel like I know the answer to this question, but I want to hear it from you. Was
Yeah.
Molly afraid of death ever, or maybe post the other stuff that had happened to him, but pre this moment?
no. I'm trying to articulate it correctly, but it was very much everything felt like it felt borrowed at this point. And
You mean time?
yeah, he was not somebody who felt a lot of ownership he was aware that so much could go wrong in any moment that he just didn't really lean into it that hard. And so it was very much I woke up, that's great, that's still working. Whatever it was that's been working for this long is still working. Holy cow, we're gonna go forward with it. So it was never, he was definitely not,
Afraid.
no, he was aware it was gonna come eventually and was probably gonna come earlier rather than later.
Yeah.
So it was not, it was definitely
Did he think it would happen coming from a guy doing the worst Ford impression you've ever heard?
Nobody can be prepared for.
I'm just kidding, Matt. I love it.
I mean, as ways to go existed, I think that was a very Molly way to go. Of just bitchy and defiant to the bitter end.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved that moment, especially, without any time to really prepare. You knew that character so well.
Oh yeah, he was in for the ride.
Yeah. Matt and Taliesin, Trevani asks, there's some belief during the first campaign that Vox Machina were basically gods and couldn't die. Do you think that Molly Mock's death is important as a reminder that mortality should be present in games and helps the narrative overall?
Curious if your answer is going to be my answer, but go ahead.
I mean, I think it is important, depending on the type of story you're trying to tell. For me, it's hard to have high stakes in a game like Dungeons and Dragons if the threat isn't there. It's not necessary. There are many games you could play, or many ways you can run D&D in which, the primary focus is everyone's fun, and if anyone you feel is gonna not have fun if their character dies, then don't necessarily do that. We know each other well enough and we trust each other and understand that there can be new, fresh joy out of a new story and a new character, and sometimes the death of a character can be a very impactful and wonderful thing for a narrative moving forward that, we don't see it that way. And so they trust me and I trust them enough to know that death is something that can be prevalent in the campaign. It can be a threat, and if it does happen, everyone takes it, feels it, grieves, moves on, and carries that moment as a new baton for whatever the next part of the story has. So I think it's important for our story. I think I don't want to say like it's a nice reminder, but I think it's an important reminder that there are consequences to scenarios. There are terrible people that will do terrible things, and ultimately their heroic journey is to try and stop these people from doing what they're doing. And there will be things lost, and there will be things gained, and all the elements of the hero's journey are a part of that. So it's not necessary for every game, by all means, but
no, and I'd even go so far as fiction in general. It's one of those things that, unless the story is necessarily about death, it's not necessarily something that pops up very often. And there are plenty of stories where if you get to the end of the book, that character is basically immortal at that point, despite the fact that if you kept following the inevitable crush of death. I mean, you have Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs live happily ever after, but at some point it ends as all things end. And this is, I sometimes feel like fiction kind of can give us a pass on that. We're like, oh no, they're fine. But I mean, they're only fine because they're not real. Like it's kind of a way of cheating death in a weird way, of this being in this little fictional vacuum. And death, we don't really have that though.
Yeah.
Not for our game.
And death hurts.
Oh.
Death is awful, but death is also very important. And I think, in a weird way, as is a lot of D&D and role-playing games are, there is catharsis and there is therapy kind of that comes from us grieving and dealing with even a fictional character in a fictional world's death. I know, Vax's story, the last campaign, that whole crazy arc had its own experience for a lot of us. And this has definitely been a rough go.
This is almost
losing Molly.
This is almost the gothest you've ever been right now. I'm so proud.
Oh shit!
I'm so proud.
How big of a goth boner do you have right now? Oh God! Oh,
but yeah,
man.
it's it hurts, but I think it's important, and
Yeah.
I'm in a weird macabre way. I'm excited to see where the story goes from here.
Me too. You too?
Oh yeah, I was panicked because I'm like, I don't have a good idea, but now
You have a good idea now.
I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
You have a really good idea now.
Pretty happy with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Man. Ashley,
Yes.
Neuro Squared asks, how did you feel when Lorenzo's group showed abilities you didn't expect them to have?
At first, I was really afraid that I had just forgotten something that Matt had told me.
I was like
checking
checking the notes
Yeah,
furiously.
like, wait, I didn't, wait, he's a fighter. I thought he was a fighter. And then I felt very justified and good about the RP that I had done. Because I always thought that she was scared of them. And then seeing how they were. I mean, even if she had been brazen at that point, and then the big guns had gotten pulled out, that would have been another opportunity to be like, oh wow, I'm even more fucked than I thought. But
Wow, yeah.
yeah, it was terrifying, but I also sort of assumed that there would be, I did not think in a million years that, especially like Laura and Travis aren't here. I kind of felt like the babysitter that like dropped the baby a little bit, you know? I was like, there's no way it's gonna happen, you know?
That was me the first time I met Travis and Laura's baby. No, I'm kidding. No, that's a good point. Do you feel like you got to answer that enough before my stupid joke?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
good. Just making sure. I have to check now.
Sitting on the same same side of the table with you, because I felt the chill from like over there of like, oh no, she didn't know. She didn't know any of this.
No.
We're so screwed.
I did feel nervous the entire time, though, which I thought was pretty cool, which is a testament to how well Matt kind of helped prepare me. That, like, even not knowing going in what their abilities were going to be, the entire time was like, I don't think we should be doing this. I don't think we should be doing. Like, I was so nervous.
Yeah, I haven't screamed that much at my TV since the Drop Dead Diva finale.
That was rough.
Taliesin.
Yeah.
Pretend I didn't say what I just did with an answer to this question from Tommy Dybel. What were Molly's final thoughts?
Oh, God.
Clutch the bear.
I need the bear again.
Yeah.
I mean, they were easy and simple and base, which was, and I've been having a lot of thought about these words even before the death. Is that it's the immense and sort of reasonable and wonderfully sustaining emotion of, well, fuck you too.
Yeah.
So it was his last thought was fuck you too,
Yeah.
which is the righteous, more reasonable cousin to fuck you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, fuck you too. Yeah. And yeah,
Man.
no fear, no panic.
Yeah.
Just goddamn it.
Yeah. Matt, Technicolor Tech wants to know, were the Iron Shepherds always intended to be antagonists for the party down the line, or were they something new you came up with in the circumstances of having Ford and Jester leave earlier?
They were part of the world building in that northern region where they were headed. They were intended to eventually maybe cross paths or be an element of the world up there once they got there. With having to plan for Laura and Travis leaving, I had to weave. This was my way of weaving them into the story sooner to find a way to take them out of the game for a while, but also make it, hopefully interesting for the players and interesting for the story. And so I wasn't intending it to for them to become such an immediate and intense antagonistic force. But part of being a game master, dungeon master, is adaptation.
Yeah.
You can only plan so much. You just kind of have to keep it loose and see what happens, what the players do, who can be available and where it's going, and then just kind of plug things in where it makes sense so that it feels natural and you're still somewhat prepared while flying by the seat of your pants. And so with Laura and Travis leaving and then Ashley having to go back, it was very much well, you know what, this would be an interesting way to handle the scenario and raise the stakes and bring in a cool group of antagonists that I hadn't planned to yet, and sure, let's see where it goes.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate
I'll get
it.
it out of my system eventually. It's too easy.
No,
I welcome it. I will tank all the yelling. I've been taking it for almost a week now.
Yeah, that's true. All of us.
I
Hey.
haven't been on the internet.
No, you shouldn't.
Good.
No,
Don't go.
I've hopped on to like tweet 3 things and then
Yeah.
tweet like 3
I mean, there's
things
people that are
unrelated.
just probably tweeting such endearing and wonderful memories and
sure.
art, and you'll get to it eventually, but you have to have your own
I'm not
time
in the
to
mood
kind
yet.
of process
Yeah.
things. And
Totally not in the mood yet.
Yeah, you have to be in the mood for that. I get
I
it.
got there.
Yeah. Danny, how you holding up?
Well, the final thoughts were almost my breaking point right then. That was pretty terrible.
Poor Danny had a hard Thursday night.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, buddy.
Want to ask anybody?
Yeah, I have a question. I have a question for Ashley. Keg came across as very self-preservational, yet she chose to sacrifice herself to save the remaining Mighty Nine. Can you talk more about that decision for somebody who came across so like, I'm gonna take care of myself, I have to get this revenge, and then to walk forward and be like, no, take me instead?
One thing that Matt and I talked about specifically when it came to Lorenzo, because there was the question of like, are they going to shoot me on sight, basically, if we come across each other, and I remembered Matt saying specifically that Lorenzo is the type of dude that likes to make examples of people, and so I think Keg would know that she'd probably have some fear of dying if she went too far, but if she were to prostrate herself, then it would be unlikely that he might like maim her or do something gnarly, but not necessarily kill her. So, and in a way, it was also a form of self-preservation. But I also think, we'll get into it next week.
Yeah. Interesting. Have we talked about how long she's going to be joining us for?
Oh, yeah.
No, I guess we could do that now.
Yeah.
Because there have been questions about it. Yeah, Ashley will be joining us for the next 2 sessions, and then we'll be jumping on to be with us at Gen Con for the live show.
I'm very excited about.
Can't wait.
So yes, we get Keg for 3 more sessions hopefully.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. Ooh, a Tox Machina exclusive, Matt.
Hey, look at that.
Taliesin.
Yeah.
Lick the Cow Happy wants to know.
Bless them. Bless all the names.
Wow.
Molly seems like the perfect candidate for Matt's Lingering Soul class. Considering your history of using Matt's homebrew classes, will you consider taking it if offered?
I can actually. I don't normally like giving unequivocal. No.
Yeah.
I really like Matt's Lingering Soul class. I think that the idea of putting somebody who's such a sensualist like Molly in that state would be the most, literally that would be just bringing the character back to make them so unhappy and so awful. Like it would be, there's no version of Molly that comes back as a ghost that isn't just desperately wanting it to be over. It's just, it's the worst thing to do to somebody who's literally their entire life is about tactile experience, is be like, welcome back, everything you love is gone. I'm like, no. No.
Yeah, the Lingering Soul class I developed.
It's not angry at anybody.
Yeah, well, the Lingering Soul class, it's hopefully it's fun for those who've tried it out.
I love it.
I'm really proud of it, but it's more designed for me narratively, at least how I want to run it. The person's soul lingers because their sheer force of will at the moment of death will not let them pass on. There is something unresolved, whether it be vengeance, whether it be somebody they have to protect or get to a point, or something that needs to be destroyed, or something that is such a powerful focus for their reason to live that when they die, they won't accept it.
Which is literally the opposite of Molly.
Exactly.
It's literally the opposite.
So I had it ready in case a circumstance allowed itself in the story where a party member got to that point and it made sense. And as soon as Molly fell, and I thought about it after the session, I'm like, nah, not Molly.
Especially even from our earliest conversations, some of the very nature of who and what I designed Molly to be, which
it doesn't
I
fit.
can't necessarily, I don't want to talk about just because I don't want to mess up anything you have planned.
No, don't talk about that.
I won't talk about that.
Because even if a character is gone, it doesn't mean their story is resolved.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But from a fundamental build of Molly, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked.
How do you feel Taliesin did with the Bloodhunter class?
I think you did great. It took a little getting used to.
It did.
You had played ranged characters for so long.
I know. I was a little nervous, but I'm very proud of my record now. Of was it 21?
Yeah, wow.
21 confirmed kills. Feeling pretty good about that.
It's a class that takes some balls because you have a lot of your stuff is based on self-injury.
Yeah.
But if built right and played right, you can do some serious damage, have some interesting utility, some fun narrative threads that the class has built in. And I think Molly was a great, different take on the class than a lot of people tend to go very grim, dark, almost Witcher, as I'm trying to destroy all the evil in the world, and the kind of a less cool blade, if you will. So I thought Molly was such a very unique and interesting example of showing that you can play all sorts of personalities and archetypes with this class. And still play with the flavor and have it fun.
I love having that kind of character too, where I take a class. I love taking a class that's really meant to be one thing and being like, why can't we do it this way instead? This is kind of fun.
Yeah.
I'll be having that again soon.
Yeah.
Sooner than you think. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well-
I'm a little sad that we didn't get into some of the later abilities from Blood Hunter.
I was
but,
really excited by quite a few.
Yeah, I was really interested to see some, because I went and reread it that night because I was looking to see the rules for the Blood Maledict.
It's a slow burn.
Yeah, it is a slow burn, but it can get pretty epic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
level 11 especially for that build with the Order of the Ghost Slayer gets pretty crazy. And with it, especially with the recent tweaks we had done, like it would have been a point where you were doing 4 attacks in a single round and traveling through terrain and creatures like a spirit while
Yeah.
doing it.
Wow.
Yeah,
You
some
can start
fun
to
stuff at the
phase.
higher level.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So cool.
But
Man.
but alas.
Think it'd be cool.
Villas. Yeah.
Other people can put Mollymock in their games. You can do all sorts of
Exactly.
crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Please do that. You have my permission.
Especially
please.
when they get their Kickstarter minis.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, any folks playing any Wild Mount campaigns or planning to go there, by all means, continue that thread as you see fit.
Yeah.
That's part of our big thing with playing this game and releasing the last campaign guide and helping present this information to the community is, as much as it's our game, we also want it to be a gift and an invitation for everybody else to come and play in that space. And,
Yeah.
invite you guys to take elements of the story and run with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have a few more questions, but first, let's give away some wood.
Is it
Oh, okay.
hardwood or
Our next
softwood?
giveaway is for you fans that create and send in incredible art from moments during the show. It's time for Fan Art of the Week.
Yeah!
Fan art of the week. Oh,
Look at
You
our
like
dad.
that?
I love it.
Our new
Sweater Dad.
gift of the week and Fan Art of the Week. What are those called? Bumpers were done by our friend and yours, Wendy Doodles.
No, she's
Yes,
so great.
and animated by our beloved Arsqueef. So thank you, both of you, for doing that. We love them. So Wendy's done our intro video, our new intro video, and both of those. So we love you, Wendy. Slap Ryan on the butt for me. This week's fan art winner was sent in by Emmy Linders, aka Matt, help me. I can't read
Just
that
to the
far.
nines.
Just to the nines.
Oh,
Let's
this is
take a
gonna
look.
hurt, isn't it? It's gonna hurt.
It's gonna hurt.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's beautiful.
Oh. That's some Thanos shit right there. God damn.
Yeah, it kind of gave me that vibe today when I saw it.
Oh, Taliesin, there's some art.
I'm
There's
aware.
some
there
I'm
is
aware
some
that
art.
I'm gonna open up Twitter and it's just gonna hurt.
We're compiling a lot of it for you to look at.
Oh man. Oh wow.
Yeah, that's tough. Well,
So beautiful.
I know.
thanks to everyone who submitted. Congrats to you, Emmy. You have won this Cherry Dice Tower with cartography by our favorite, Devin Rue. This is insane.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Chief, give me some love on this thing. This is the detail. It's hard to really see. The detail is absolutely incredible on this.
Oh, we're.
There we are.
There we go.
It's literally engraved into the wood.
There it is. You're helping. Good job, buddy.
I'm here to help.
Congrats. You have won my wood. Thanks to our friends at Wormwood Gaming. Make sure to check them out at wormwoodgaming.com. They're currently not for sale yet, but keep your eyes and ears open. You can enter our weekly contest by emailing your GIF or fan art to submit at toxmachina.com. Rules for our contest are available at critroll.com. Moving on, Matthew.
Yes. Oh boy.
Xena Rose 11 asks, if Molly hadn't run into Lorenzo, do you think Bo would have been made his example instead?
That could have been very possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally his. I mean, I don't know how low Bo was in hit points at the time, but at the very least, he probably had a good chance of probably knocking her unconscious. She also was hit by the cone of cold.
20 points during that cone of cold, right?
Yeah,
Something
well,
like
that was with the successful save. For the failed
Oh.
save, it was a lot more.
Yeah.
And I've seen people going like, it's unfair. In order to cast that spell, he has to be like 14th level, like fighter, wizard. I'm like, no, you don't know all the stuff behind the scenes. There's a reason
Yeah.
he has it. You're fine. I like that you're excited, but we're fine.
Yeah.
But it was seeing her like up on the horse, defensive, more ready to go, and the fact that Molly had just come by with like this huge hit and was on his last legs visually between the two, and was basically just an easier target. And it was more of like if I'm going to choose between the two, I'm going to go with him because he's right there. And
Boy, did I misjudge that fight.
I know
That's
it
okay.
happens.
It happens.
This is the second character of yours that I've killed in all the time we've played.
Yeah.
Was there a home
Aldous
game?
from the old campaign?
I forgot about
yeah.
all this. That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he was eaten by ghouls, so that was more gruesome, I think.
My goodness.
Yeah, I'm
pretty
glad
bad.
you weren't eaten by anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't have.
He had it coming. That was some poor planning.
Was he another teenage asshole to Allison?
Aldous was kind of a mad monk character. He was a little so
Yeah,
Yeah.
a strange one.
he was fun. Like to set things on fire.
I forgot the question.
Yeah, it was just about if Bo would have been the next target. But I feel like you answered it.
If it wasn't Molly, Bo was the next in line, and it would have been, and there's a
Yeah.
good chance that she would have gone unconscious, and if you wanted to parlay, it would have been, well, who do you want to trade? Do you want
Yeah.
to take her place, Keg?
Oof.
And there would have been a chance there. Or would have been trade.
Oh, that game, that made
I don't
me.
like that, dude. Lord have,
just true to the character. He's an asshole.
Lord have Mercer. Jesus.
Hang out with a bunch of like fairies and just have happiness.
Fairy's
and
last
live
campaign
on-
in the Feywild. They murdered the pixies. They
sent
sided with the
pixies
werewolves.
into the Eye of Doom, the ziggurat, right? Didn't the pixie go into the?
Well, yeah, well,
she send the.
She
Oh,
did.
fairies, yeah. But Matt said
Pixies can be fairies.
I'm just saying.
Danny said that
Danny.
we're sending her on vacation after this.
Yeah, we have to. She won't survive otherwise.
Taliesin, Dungeons and Geese, our other favorite game, wants to know
Oh wait, that was great.
Yeah, that
what
was
did
really
you
good.
do when you left the table after Molly's death?
I went and hugged Danny for a while and was like, well, God, okay, I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
no
ignore
better
the game
forward
for a
in the
while.
storm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we literally sat there like I cried really hard in your arms. I think you mostly were comforting me.
I was comforting you mostly. I didn't really cry hard until I got home.
Yeah, it was a lot of like cuddling on the couch and just being
Cry if someone else is
upset,
crying.
right? I was helping.
You were very helpful.
When you,
Just never let the fucker see you cry. No, well,
yeah,
you can let the fucker see you cry. It's
yeah.
okay.
I've let all the fuckers see me cry. It's too late for me.
Yeah, that's true. When you got up, you said something like, "I don't want to see this, or I don't want to watch this."
I can't
Was that
watch this.
because you thought more people were about to die behind you?
No, I was just like, I was having a panic attack and was like, I'm out. Oh
Yeah.
God, I need to go away from this and like, I don't even want to know what happens next.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch everyone panic.
Oh man, I know. Burial grounds.
to the bear.
Yeah, you just pass that bear around. Whoever needs it gets it. Ashley, Burial Grounds asks, what went through your head when Lorenzo made Keg bend her knee? Did you expect him to spare her?
I was nervous. I thought I was at least going to get like a limb, something. I thought I was going to get something lopped off.
Yeah.
At minimum.
Yeah.
So I was pretty surprised when he just let us go. But yeah, I was preparing for something.
A beard shaving.
Yeah,
just thinking it
which
should-
would have been the unkindest thing he could have done.
Yeah, that
Keg's
would
been
have
trying
Just got-
to grow that for.
Yeah. Every
That's part of her backstory. Just
pushing it out. That's
Yeah.
what I do to mine.
part revenge, part anger, and then part beard growing, and then part anger, and then part beard growing.
Yeah.
That's her, yeah.
That's the pie graph.
Yeah.
Somebody had asked if Molly was in the Soul Stone, which I thought was great.
Molly is definitely the soul stone.
Yeah. Taliesin Crivens Fiegel asks, given Molly's apparent laissez-faire attitude towards life, would he have considered his death at the hands of Lorenzo worth it?
As long as Bo got away, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you help people out. That's what you fucking do. Don't be a dick. So yeah. I'm so sorry I'm breaking you. I'm so sorry.
That answer's hard.
Yeah.
Not okay.
If for
Worth
no other
it.
reason, that means that like forever he won, which is great. Cause,
Yeah.
Because she's kind of awful, and now he's like he has an eternal one up now, which is also kind of
Yeah.
That is very Molly.
It is very much. What's the phrase from Brooklyn? So it's like I'm just gonna hold on to every argument I've ever had and like get the last word in right before I die. I've got like 27 ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so good. Fuck you. Yeah.
That would have been fantastic.
Oh my God.
Matt,
Yes.
Trisha Chica asks, I was really fearing no mercy from Lorenzo. How did you decide to have him spare the rest of the party? Did he fail against Keg's persuasion, or were there other factors you included in your decision?
The persuasion rung through. He failed against that idea because she knew where to cut through. Knew that all these faceless people to him made no difference. but because they were traveling with Keg, and Keg, his whole thing here was they were all gnats. Keg was the one that he knew, and the one that he essentially was trying to break. You know, the whole like, oh, is this important to you? You know, it was that kind of a power play, and so it was going to continue. It was just going to keep, whether it be killing them or capturing them or breaking them. It was just going to be like a knock over each domino until she breaks. And so the minute that she gave in and essentially put up the white flag, he was like, okay. And then at that point was, as is his nature, is, you know, set an example, leave an example, and spread the word.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with me. People don't fuck with me because this happens.
Wow.
And he has a reputation.
Yeah. Ashley, Fox881 asks, were you expecting the Mighty Nine to discover you were once a part of these slavers groups so quickly?
I was, well, after it happened, I was like, yeah, I guess that's the most logical conclusion for me to have this much information about them. But I was expecting it to maybe keep going until Shady Creek. But I didn't know that Liam would that spell.
Yeah.
Which was great. It was
Yeah.
awesome. But I thought it wouldn't come up until maybe next game. But
Yeah.
But I kind of like that, you know, like
Yeah.
the best laid plans. You know what I mean? You
Yep.
just have to throw it out the window.
That's how it works.
That's kind of that's one of the wonderful things about this game
Yeah.
is you're like, I have a good thought out idea of how things will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything, I'm so glad that Sam was like willing to say out loud, this is the best plan we've ever had. Just so I can just, next time I see him, be like, yeah, how'd that work out, man?
Yeah.
You know, all those times we're like, trust us, we're just gonna wing it, it'll be okay. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it was a good plan.
good plan.
Like I was really proud of your guys planning and plotting on that. It was a good thing. It was a series of bad dice rolls, a couple of bad strategic choices, and a foe that was just a little bit beyond you with all those circumstances combined. And so, like, I mean, to Sam's credit, he was right. It was a good plan.
It was a good plan. No, plans don't matter. Though.
But
Yeah.
you know, plan lasts. What's the adage?
No
plan lasts contact with the enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or survives contact with the enemy.
You were
Yeah.
gonna say something, Danny?
Just there's also the fact that Molly himself said this is going to be a cursed trip. I am just going to go ahead and accept that. Terrible things will happen.
Oh, you said that.
He did say that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
He knows. He knows.
Man.
I did.
The weird portents, the weird like looking back and going, oh, it's like we do. Oh, this is weird.
We only have time for a couple more, so I'm gonna squeeze them in here. Oh, Danny Boy 94, Taliesin, what would be Molly's parting wisdom or advice for the members of the Mighty Nine?
Oh Lord. Boy, I haven't thought about this at all.
You can pass. I have another one for you.
Oh yeah, no, he doesn't. Yeah, his advice would be terrible. No, just lighten up. Yeah, whatever.
Join the circus.
Join a fucking circus. Life's
Yeah.
short. Eat a bagel.
Yeah. Life short, eat a bagel.
Do something to a bagel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Life short, do something to
to
a
a
bagel.
bagel.
Now, I don't want to give away too much about my backstory, but I've lived by that adage for quite some time.
I knew this is where we would mix. I'm happy for another
Yeah.
one, but
Matt.
Yes.
Uh,
Oh God, do I get the last?
W. Klein 9, no you don't. If Yasha, Ford, and Jester were in one of the cages, would it have been possible for any of them to have witnessed the death of our beloved Molly?
Sadly, no. The nature of the illusion that cloaks the interior of these prevents them from seeing out. They actually have a tarp over them. Like it's like
Yeah.
cages, and there's a large cloth tarp that's wrapped over them, so they have no visual perspective of where they are. It's part of keeping them docile and in check while they transport them.
I kept flashing to the Garbage Pail Kids movie when they're in like the.
Oh.
Like,
No!
when they have Santa Claus in the cage, it's just says too fat, and you're just like, no.
One, amazing reference. Two, I'm sorry that I forced you to have any memory of that movie.
Oh my God.
Bad movie, good date. That's all I'll say. So, yeah.
I think I know that story.
Yeah, you might.
Yeah.
All right.
We can tell it on After Dark. Taliesin, it's only fair that we end the night with a question for you.
Yeah, bring it.
Spirit Chrysalis asks,
Ooh.
the Critical Role fandom response to Molly's murder echoed how profoundly he's touched the hearts of many in a short time. From your perspective, what meaning and beauty do you see in Molly, and what takeaways stand out for you in remembering him?
Ooh. Okay. I get to Molly is no different in my head than he was last week, which is my deep. That is where I get to have an easier time than everybody else, which is that it's no different for me. I just don't get to trot him out on Thursday. The character was based off of, is like any good character, is based off of like several friends, some of whom are not with us anymore, and several experiences as a teenager, and like places and people I've gotten to be, and things that profoundly had effects on me. We were talking about Wrist Cutters, a love story, being like, that was like one of the first. I've been listening to Molly's playlist, which I'm sure I have to put out now, which is now way harder to listen to because there's a lot in there.
Yeah,
but like there's a song off the soundtrack of Wrist Cutters that was because that movie had a lot of that good carny family vibe, and how carnival families work, and how sort of these weird bitchy people take care of each other. And there was for many years there was a archetype in film, an archetype in storytelling that was very much this kind of character. And I haven't seen this character in anything in a long time. And I've like barely I've read like a couple things that people have written where they've kind of gotten this notion of you're supposed to live your life, and there's a way of both not giving a fuck about what people think, but giving a fuck about people. And he was never a character who needed to be fixed, and he was never a character who needed permission for anything. And you go in with a character like Iron Man where you're like waiting to watch them become a good person, or you go with a character like Captain America where it's, I want to see this good person's effect on the world. And there was never going to be a profound change in Molly. His whole notion was just his perspective and how it affected everything around him. If there was anybody who he never had any unfinished business. His only unfinished business was just barreling through every person he ever met and making them deal with him.
Wow.
So yeah, make people deal with you, but make sure that dealing with you is always a positive and kind experience. So yeah, there you go. Hi. Hey. Yay! Shut up. Quick, bring me my dice. I need to soak them in the tears of the DM. Shut up. I love you. I'm sorry.
What was your favorite part about playing him?
Oh man, the terrible accent.
The accent.
No, I'll actually say it was being able to be like a teenage version of myself on graph paper. It was really nice. It was like, oh, I could be 22 again and just terrible, and it's great. The art was also spectacular. And every now and then running into somebody who really got what I was trying to do, and seeing that they identified with it.
Yeah.
So every now and then I would meet somebody who was like, I get what you're doing. This is amazing. I'm like, oh, thank you. So.
The cosplay's been incredible too.
Cosplay is incredible. I saw a lot of people.
Don't stop the cosplay, please.
A lot of people asked if your next character will please be easier to cosplay.
It will. It
Yeah.
will. It's a different kind of fabulous.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm very. Yeah, I may have accidentally given you a sneak
I may have
peek.
seen it a little bit.
Yeah, sorry.
Little teaser.
It's beautiful.
We got to wrap up because something may explode in Max's pants pretty soon if we don't. Taliesin, I want to say to you as your friend, and I know you're going to hate this, but you make memorable characters and you make memorable choices that I think have a bigger impact than we can see just because we see the response online. Jesus Christ, I'm not nearly drunk enough to start crying. We see I looked at everything this weekend because I wanted to get a feel for what was happening with the community so that, Danny and I could hone the questions into the most concentrated ones for what we wanted to ask. And I just want to say that this character meant a lot to a lot of different types of people. And it's a testament to your heart that people connected so much with this character. And so I just want to say we're going to miss him, but I can't wait to see what happens next. If it's this week, if it's a couple months down the line, I don't know, but
I'm excited for what comes next, but I'm really thank you.
We've known each other for a long time. We've played a lot of games together, and I want you in every game I play.
Yeah, dude. For sure.
I was doing okay until you fuckers started.
Sorry, dude. God damn
I'm
it.
like really mad at both of you.
I spend.
Later before I cry the rules.
Man, well,
Yeah.
that's it. That's all the time we have for tonight. Stick around for Talk Mocking After Dark. Critical Role Campaign 2, Episode 27 airs this week. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Taliesin. Thank you, guys, for all the great questions and support and love. Please, 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 this week, more than any, don't forget to love each other. And don't worry, it's almost Thursday. Good night, everybody. Love you, Tal.
I love you too. It's gonna
Love
be
you
good.
guys.
It's gonna be good.